welcome back to our broadcasting about Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s death. I'm Dallas, and this is Mr. Dick Cox. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm good. Good to see you again. All right. First of all, I wanted to ask you, how do you think that Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s death affected media, the whole media realm as a whole?
Well, I think it opened up a lot of eyes to a lot of drivers now, from the standpoint that I don't think you're going to see them hang around as long now. I think you're going to see them find other ways to stay involved in racing, and you can look right off the bat right now. Darrell Waltrip got out of racing and went to the broadcast booth. Now his brother Michael this year is going to work with Fox Racing and doing that, to where I think there is so much that have been realized that Dale Earnhardt really had nothing to continue to race for. He had accomplished everything he could, to where I think you're going to see drivers more and more now maybe go into the broadcasting part of it to give their expertise on what drivers may be thinking at that time and all, and not take the risk of driving the car, but again still be involved in NASCAR in a way of the communications department.
All right, and you had mentioned about, for example, Michael Waltrip going in broadcasting and whatnot afterwards. What is it, do you think, that drives these past athletes and past stock car drivers to want to go into broadcasting about the sport that they love so much?
Well, it's the thing, and I kind of went through this when I got out of coaching. There, you still want to be a part of what's going on. And I know these guys still love it, and where Michael Waltrip still races a little bit though, but some of the other guys like a Darrell Waltrip, like a Dale Jarrett, who is retired from racing like that, it's been a big part of their lives, to where they are not going to be in the car driving again, but they feel like that they have still a lot of knowledge to share with the viewers and stuff, and still can make a major contribution to the sport by trying to, again, explain to the viewers what is going on, what drivers are thinking in certain situations and all like that, though, which I think it adds a lot of insight to what's going on when you've got the guys who've been behind the wheel who can explain to you exactly what's going on.
All right, you had also previously mentioned that Dale Earnhardt had accomplished just about everything you could accomplish as a NASCAR driver. Do you think that if he had survived that accident, that he would have become a broadcaster himself for NASCAR?
You wondered that Dale Earnhardt was starting to have some different medical situations going on. We're blacking out, before a race at Darlington one time, and some other things like that. Though I really think that he may not have driven a whole lot longer, though, but they would have found some way, again, because of the media. He was a media darling. That like we said, he was one of the most popular drivers ever, that people loved to hear him talk. And I think he would have been an excellent broadcaster from the standpoint of the stories he could tell, again, what he would do, because he was kind of unique. If somebody got in his way, that he'd put the chrome bumper to him, being Mr. Intimidator. He would knock them out of the way, though. But I think Dale Earnhardt Sr. would have been an excellent broadcaster, that he could have, told you exactly what's going on. Now, he was country, and, his grammar may not have been always the best, though, but I think that viewers would love to have seen him behind a microphone actually doing some commentary for races. Don't know how he'd been on pit road, but I think he would have been a good one up there in the tower with the other guys up there. But I think, had he survived, I think he would have been a good one.
All right, and there were rumors said across the media and from just individual people that his death could have been prevented. Of course, if he hadn't have raced that day, we know it would have been prevented, but you said that he had many medical problems, and his doctor had told him that morning that it was best for him not to race. As a broadcaster, when you're broadcasting about his death, what do you believe? Do you have to choose to believe certain media saying that, hey, maybe it could have been prevented?
Again, I think it's a sad situation, to where, you wonder with some of his friends. Neil Bonnet was one of his close friends. It's a hunting buddy of his that got killed in a wreck, a high-speed wreck. I can't remember if it was in Talladega or Daytona. I think it was in Daytona also there. That, when he was told that he had some of these problems, he had plenty of money. He didn't have to worry about the money end of it. He didn't have to worry about endorsements. He was set for life. And, pretty much had Junior coming along to turn things over to and stuff like that, though, that I honestly believe that he should have gotten out of the car before something like that happened, though. But, again, drivers somehow, I know being a former carnival person, they say you had sawdust in your blood when you were that, though. But I don't know what you would say. Maybe he had oil in his blood, where it was hard for him just to get away from it, though. But, you know, I honestly believe that it probably would have been in his best interest for him to have gotten out of the car at that time and not driven. Because, again, he had won 5 championships. He had won Driver of the Year, most popular driver, and stuff like that. And you wonder with some of these guys, you know, why they stick around and do it as long as they can. Because every time you get in one of those cars, you're taking a chance. And it's kind of strange because I look back at the video and saw his wife gave him a kiss before he got in the car and a hug and all. Little did she know that'd be the last time she ever did that, though. And again, when you reach a point where you accomplish what you need to, I don't understand why some of these guys continue to take the chances they do.
So I guess it really is just the love for the game that they stay in it.
It is.
It makes them more stubborn than ever.
And again, they called him old Ironhead because he was stubborn in the way he did things and all like that, though. But really, he had no reason to continue to drive because, like I said, he'd accomplished everything. He had his own racing company that, again, the 2 cars that came in first and second the day he died were cars that he owned and stuff. But again, it's hard for some of these guys to get it out of their system. I mean, there's still some drivers out there right now that are in their 70s that are still driving, and you got to wonder. I worry about driving down I-85 with a 70-year-old next to me, though. That scares me to death. So I don't know about your reflexes and stuff if you still have it at that age, though. But it was a big question mark. But he chose to continue to do it, and unfortunately ended up dying in the car.
Yeah, someone even said that it was his temper that killed him because he has such a temper.
He was competitive. He was not going to back down for anybody. And again, it was a risque move that he made on that final lap that he got killed on, that he was trying to slide up in front of somebody and block to keep, the cars that were coming from getting to his 2 cars that were ahead of him. And again, he got turned around. He hit the wall head on hard. It was no different. The broadcasters that were calling the race that day did not see it, being any more violent of a crash. There's been a whole lot more violent crashes than the one he had, but just the way he hit the wall head on and without the safety devices, just kind of snapped his neck. So
I feel that it's so ironic that what kept him in the game and what enabled him to win all those races was his drive and ambition, but that's also pretty much what killed him because he wouldn't back down and he wouldn't listen to anyone to keep him out of that race that day.
That's right. So, I mean, again, he was the Intimidator was his name. He was going to do it his way, and the way he did it up into his way until the day he died, though. But again, with his background, which we talked about in our first segment we did, though, he came from a very poor background, probably did not make a lot of friends when he was younger, the way he put people in the wall to win races and stuff like that. But again, that was his style up until the day he died.
This leads me to my next question. I can only imagine how a broadcaster feels if it affected them personally. That was their favorite race car driver, and they're having to break their news to speak about this. I can only imagine how difficult it could be to hide your emotions and to carry on with your job, hiding your emotions to some extent. How did it affect you? How did you feel broadcasting the situation?
Well, like I said, when I was growing up, I was always a NASCAR fan, and even to this day, my fantasy is to drive a race car. That I still am going to go up and do the Jeff Gordon driving experience one day. I may be 70 before I do that, though. But, just from the standpoint from media, you work with these guys, you talk with them, you interview them, you tell jokes with them, you cut up and you get to know these people. And they're your friends. And when you see something like that happen that's very tragic and, it's hard to understand, why was he even out there? He didn't need to be doing that. Why was he still taking a chance? It does have an impact on the people that broadcast because, again, you get to know these people even though they're not members of your family or anything. You spend a lot of time with the athletes that you broadcast with and stuff like that, though, that you feel close to them. And, again, when something like that happens, you've lost a friend. And that's, the impact it has. If there's somebody who was, great for the sport, but also somebody who was a friend to the media, too, that was lost.
I've had the chance to meet with your crew, and I know that all of you are good friends outside of work and with broadcasting. Do you think when broadcasting that event, having them there was easier or harder to broadcast the accident?
Well, I mean, when you got people in there that you work with, because pretty much a situation like that, your people are just in shock, total shock. because again, when you see a big star go down tragically like that, you think in a way that they're invincible because they're supposed to be the best, and even he thought he was invincible and all like that though. But when you're working with friends and colleagues and people like that, broadcasting and doing things that share the same viewpoints that you do, it kind of makes it a little bit easier right there though, because you both kind of that they feel the same way you did because they knew the person and all like that too. That makes it a little bit easier though, but still you just kind of in shock on what just happened and why did this happen and all. So.
Well, in conclusion, it was just a very, very sad and tragic event, and I can already tell that it truly did affect your personal life and as a fan as well as a broadcaster. But I want to thank you for letting me interview you for a second time on the second segment, and that is all.
Well, I appreciate it. It's kind of interesting that since we last talked, they ran the Bud Shootout this past Saturday night.
Yes.
And I did not realize until they were, showing the race, and actually talked to Michael Waltrip about 10 years ago that day that Dale Earnhardt was killed, and that he won the race that night though. And it was kind of ironic because I watched that race Saturday night, and gosh, it was like a demolition derby that Jeff Gordon got flipped upside down and stuff, and it just was amazing that I saw a lot harder hits and a lot I guess more violent crashes than the one that killed Dale Earnhardt. But it's kind of, I guess, neat in a way to see that since his death 10 years ago, how they have implemented a lot of the safety standards now to where the drivers were able to take more violent hits and walk away from them. And actually, a couple of guys that were in crashes, I know that Jeff Gordon made the comment that he barrel rolled and he slid some thousands of feet, on the driver's door on his side, and then barrel rolled and said, that was fun and all. But that's the first time that ever happened to him, and he said, he hoped it never happen again though. And then you got Kevin Harvick's car was on fire, and he said, I knew it was on fire, but I thought it would go out there though. But again, kind of look back to, do these guys think they're invincible too?
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat though. But it's been a lot of fun, again, talking NASCAR with you, and again, enjoyed that and enjoyed helping you in any way with your project. If Cox Sports Broadcasting can ever be an assistance to you, we'll be more than happy to help you.
Definitely. I'll be giving you a call.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.